There were no walkers, only the occasional car rushing by on the canal road, and I squinted to see a heron on the edge of the water, moving its spindly legs in the slushy shallows, wings spreading, flapping slowly, then faster, a blue-gray segue between Jersey earth and the morning sky. If the other things I saw walking along the canal in the first 7 miles or so were typed up into a brief scouting report for the benefit of my superiors, I would mention the following: a little herd of deer, an F-14-like formation of geese soaring above the leafless, vine-infested canopy, little gold-plated plaques on canal-side benches, named for people who, presumably, enjoyed sitting in the area, e.g. Fred Brown, small trash eddies in the canal water, whirling circles of styrofoam and lost lichen, another old sycamore, its white-tipped branches like graying hair, power line-interrupted woods, farm fields with hoarfrost now fading, and creeks, here called runs, and taking their distances as names, 6-mile run and 10-mile run. On a tall, thin oak, someone scratched, "I heart Vicky." My hands were cold and numb, and to warm them I put them in my pockets, which made the huge backpack more awkward and slowed me as I lunged across a state highway, Amwell Road, a return route back to Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania. I was learning some things about the canal, having read about 10 miles worth of historical markers. In Zarephath, I came to what looked like a university, and a plaque explained that Alma Bridwell White had come from Colorado in 1906 to base her religious community on land donated by a widow in debt, calling the community the Pillar of Fire. The plaque did not mention that the church is said to be the only church that publicly supported the Ku Klux Klan, drawn by the Klan's anti-Semitism, anti-Catholicism, and anti-immigrant stance. Markers can sometimes be too polite this way. Another plaque featured a photo of Zarephath in the 1920s, when the canal was used by yachts going from Philadelphia to New York, and earlier for the transport of a World War I submarine chaser to counter German plans for an attack on Manhattan. A quarter-mile later, where there were no houses, I saw charred sticks, dead coals, the site of what had been a small bonfire the night before. And then, just after noon, the Millstone River widened, and, near a small man-made falls adjacent to what I guessed to be a sewage treatment plant, joined the Raritan River, on its way, as I could see on my map, to New York Bay. It was at that point that I got my first view of the Watchung Mountains, my destination a day or two hence. In my notes, I wrote, "I see hills." Considering the amount of time I would spend in the coming weeks lying on the floor, inspired by pain to say dark and spiteful things about the world, I now lament my enthusiasm and wonder why didn't I go around the Watchungs, through Pluckeman, along the lines of the Honeyman-George Washington axis. Why didn't I go the way that Honeyman the spy might have gone? Alas, as is well known, there's no going back. Beneath the interstate, I had a crisis of confidence. I halted. It was no longer clear to me that the canal path would allow me to enter Bound Brook. Clouds rolled in as if on cue. I could not reach my wife at work, so I called in support from a friend in St. Paul, Minnesota, who was sitting in a coffee shop with his computer. He searched for an internet map of New Jersey, then sent me straight ahead. Breathing a sigh of relief, I entered Bound Brook, taking the South Main Street Bridge. Large, brightly decorated plaques greeted me. Some highlights. To the casual observer, there is little to indicate the historical significance of this particular bridge crossing.